Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everybody in between and outside. Welcome to the Style Esports Season 19 playoffs. Tonight's matchup will be a fight in Zaun as the Rumble stage is about to get underway with a best of 3 between first seed the Psych and 8 seed Drop Dead Fury. Here to kick things off, I am Crewman44. I am joined by the one and only Thousand Eyes for the call. Eyes, let's get this postseason started in style.
That joke sucks. You know what? It's deserved. We are already underway here though for our draft. Drop Dead Fury taking away Kaisa and Volibear. Volibear has been so potent as of late, so not surprised on that one. Skarner has seen a little bit of a resurgence, especially as a jungler in the last couple patches, so not surprised to see that taken away. Anivia, which is a target ban against the mid laner for Psych Ward. Also want to point out too, this definitely is a Psych Ward definitely favored coming into this, I would imagine, as they're been really strong throughout the season. They are coming in as the #1 seed, definitely looking for them to be successful tonight as Drop Dead Fury have their work cut out for them.
Yeah, recent results definitely speak to that very same inclination as well. Just their last matchups for both of these teams. The Psych Ward picked up a 1-0 victory over Yakima Glaives, a team that is actually 2 divisions above this one just about a week ago. Whereas Drop Dead Fury did lose 3 games in a row, 0-3 against DDG Psychos, who are only 1 division above. So definitely the Psych Ward have seen much more success recently, and as you already mentioned, over the course of the season as well. You do have Udyr coming through here as the first pick for Drop Dead Fury. A little bit of a surprising first pick in my eyes.
Yeah, I'm not used to seeing Udyr as a first pick. It's definitely different. The Xayah pick is also a little bit out there. Xayah has not been super relevant in the current meta for AD carries. We've seen a lot more of the Smolders or even some mages in the bot lane. But Xayah will get picked up, maybe a Rakan to go alongside it. We'll see how Psych Ward want to prioritize things here. And they're just going to say, no, we don't want the Rakan. We're going to go for the Rel. We're going for full team fight engage here.
Exactly right. Yeah, I'm glad that your eyes are seeing the same thing as mine, Thousand. You obviously have a lot more than I do, so glad I'm on the right track there. But yes, the Rel is going to come through alongside the Xayah, which is also, I do find a little bit surprising, right? Just because the Xayah is a champion notoriously that her main play pattern is peeling back, right? You play defensively, you get a bunch of feathers out, and then you can go for those big blade callers. But Rel, on the other hand, is a champion who really likes to go forwards, right? Looking to dive towards that enemy backline. Xayah can sometimes struggle to follow up on those sorts of engages, but moving on over back towards Drop Dead Fury, they're going to lock away at the Jinx for themselves, a pick that is buffed on this patch.
It is. Jinx is also just still has that current issue of she's always waiting for 3 items. And I think in the current state, especially the lower you go in terms of rank in League of Legends, trying to wait for 3 items is difficult. You are waiting a long time for Jinx to be able to get those 3 items, to be able to get online. I do think that Drop Dead Fury have built a composition that is trying to buy as much time for Jinx, not only in terms of just having like early game presence, but also in terms of just being a front line for the Jinx to get that damage out. Lilia is going to be picked up here. She has been terrorizing the jungle throughout multiple patches here, has been hit with a couple of nerfs over a couple of weeks, but still very strong. And the team fight engage, especially when you combine that with something like Rel to follow up on, is really absurd.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I am struggling with the microphone a little bit. Let us know. I just tried changing something. Hopefully that helped. Let us know in the chat.
I believe you're good.
Yeah, definitely the case as we... Yeah, improvement?
It is fixed.
Oh, happy to hear that. Okay, what a relief. Glad we got that sorted out before we got into the game. But yes, we are into our second ban phase now. We do have the Gwen and the Smolder have been removed so far. Let's see if another top lane ban comes out here. from the Psych Ward, the Silas actually is going to get removed.
The Silas ban is interesting to me because right now there's not a whole lot of ults that Silas would want to steal away, and that is the main draw for that champion being picked up. Gives me the inclination that Psych Ward are looking to pick up a big ulti for their next or final pick here. We'll see. The Renekton and Smolder take it away, trying to remove more scaling options from that because Smolder has just been really, really strong, and not surprised to see teams want to take that away. Sejuani is the hover, and that's going to get locked in. I'm assuming this is a blind top lane Sejuani pick for the Psych Ward, meaning they're last picking their mid laner, and it is a mid laner they don't want to go in against Silas.
Yeah, definitely very intriguing. Of course, Silas himself, also a bit of a flex pick, as is the Udyr, so we can't necessarily make too many assumptions there, but definitely interesting that, we're going to have a little bit of an unorthodox top laner, it looks like, for the Psych Ward here in this first game. Drop Dead Fury, of course, likely blind picking their mid laner here, have opted to go for the Victor, and it looks like we're going to have the Ornn to round things out, so a pretty stock standard team fighting composition.
Yeah, it's very standard. You got two backliners, you got your Victor, you got your Jinx, and then just HP bars. Like, that is all you're looking for from Udyr, Braum, and Ornn. Psych Ward, they have a good amount of damage here. They can back this up now with another big DPS threat, because Sejuani Rel is a lot of frontline. Talia's the hover. This does now kind of make me question the Silas ban a little bit. Yes, Sejuani ult is a pretty good pickup, but everything else there is not terribly great. Does now mean that they have the ability to roam to lanes, and there's a lot of setup in these lanes. You have Rel in the bot lane, you have Talia going to top with Sejuani, which is also a great setup. So Talia has the ability, especially early on, to push these waves, hit that level 6 point, and immediately roam to one of these lanes.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely one of the biggest strengths of the champion, and I imagine should be able to get the shove against Victor pretty comfortably, at least for those first few levels. So it'll be interesting to see how early the Psych Ward are really going to be actively playing towards those side lanes. Because like you said, they do have quite a bit of setup with this composition. So, and coming in as the favorites as well, we'll see if they really want to try and push the pace of the game here in game number 1.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because I'm really worried with Drop Dead Furies. Like, scaling wise, Drop Dead Fury are in a really, really good place, but unfortunately their early game is going to be really tough. And when you're looking at Xayah, who honestly against Jinx has a lot of power, you're looking at Sejuani, who top lane is very strong. Mid lane, Talia, Victor, kind of a wash, but then you have a Lilia in the jungle as well. And when you have these stronger side lanes and a mid lane that can at least match in wave pressure, you are now getting a Lilia that can roam around, can be in the face here. Udyr can't do a whole lot to Lilia if she's already sped up too. So Psych Ward have a lot of power in the early game, and I want to see them utilize that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would be a bit of a statement if they are able to do so, right, as well, coming into this first playoff match. There's one lane in particular, actually, Thousand Eyes, that I am going to be keeping an especially close eye on, and that is going to be the bottom lane. Now, I briefly mentioned earlier on that the Psych Ward only played one game versus the Akuma Glaives last week. That was their 1-0 victory. Now, as you may remember, Thousand Eyes, we haven't been here for a while, but you probably do recall that regular season matches here in the Style League are also best of 3. So that's a little bit of a hint for this next question that I'm about to ask you. The Psych Ward 80 carry, Border Jumper 24, played Lucian in that game against Akuma Glaives. Thousand Eyes, I would like you to guess how many kills Border Jumper 24 got in that game.
I feel like you're asking this because it was a lot.
Well, that's a good instincts there, Thousand Eyes. Yeah.
Is it 24? I'm just gonna go with the number there, just to go wild.
Good guess. It's actually a bit higher. Higher.
Oh.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah. Would you let me just go ahead and tell you the number of kills?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. It was 34 kills actually for Border Jumper 24. He did
Oh.
or they did 63,000 damage in a 27-minute game. Yeah. So that is why only one game was played in that particular best of 3. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. But on the other side, for Drop Dead Fury, AD carry Bam actually was their strongest performer. Despite the 0-3 loss to DDG Psychos that was also played last week. It was a little bit unfortunate as well because we had some connection issues for the mid laner in game number 2. It was a little bit tragic. But Bam actually did perform well in all 3 of those games despite the loss, had a positive KD in every single one of those games. So both of these AD carries really feel like the strong points for these 2 teams, and that's why I do find that bot lane especially interesting in this matchup.
Yeah. And kind of like we said too, just matchup-wise, Bam and Fable, they're going to be on the defensive, like inherently. Braum
Right.
Jinx is not an aggro lane. That is a lane where you're like, well, check in with you guys in about 15 minutes, see where we're at. Unless there is early game like ganks from this Udyr, if we see Udyr show up and be a problem early on, not really expecting a whole lot from this Jinx Braum, and they have to be able to weather that storm, and that's kind of just overall what Drop Dead Fury need to be able to do. I am definitely concerned at their capability to do that because I've seen a lot of drafts that have been, okay, we just got to get to late game, and late game never occurs.
Yeah, certainly. I think that the Psych do have a composition, like we already discussed, where if they are able to accelerate the pace of the game, then we could never get to that late game like you're just talking about. So we'll have to wait and see if the side of Drop Dead Fury are going to be able to hang on and get their 2 hyper carries in this very strong team fighting composition to the point in the game where they will be able to win out in the team fights. It is going to be quite a challenge, though, as you say. 1,000 Eyes, one last order of business before we go to break. Do you have a prediction for us here in game number 1?
I think it should be obvious kind of where I'm leading here, but Psych Ward feel like they have more control in this early game, and I think that's when you're coming in as the stronger team, that's so important. I would put my money on Psych Ward being able to get an early lead and finish this game off fast.
All right. Well, we shall see, guys. We're going to go to that short break, and when we come back, we will be on to the Rift for game number 1. All right, everybody. Welcome onto the whip for our first night. We do have, of course, Drop Dead Fury on the blue side and the Psych Ward taking up positions on the red. Any runes or summoner spells you would like to point out, Thousand Eyes?
I mean, I'm looking right now to Jinx, because Jinx took PTA rather than Fleet. I feel like in a matchup like this, yes, it's not a whole lot of poke, but you are very much trying to play defensive and hit your scaling points. PTA feels a little bit greedy. I do like the cleanse. I think that's great into stuff like the Lilio and the Sejuani. You're looking at a lot of CC. You would love to be able to get some cleanse out of that. But everything else looks pretty stock standard, all things considered. Phase rush on the Talia as well to just make sure you could get out of the Victor W.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. Of course, can't help just moving around the map potentially that little bit faster as well. You know, combined with the Talia passive, can make you quite speedy. We'll see if IK Imagine is going to be able to get off those early roams like we were wondering about in the Champion Select Tour. We're going to have a topside start for both junglers. Be clearing down towards this bot lane that I am so very interested in, as previously mentioned.
Yeah, I already see a bit of a push here, which makes a bit of sense here with the rockets. If you get there early, and Fable especially being able to use those charges, will confirm the level 2 for Drop Dead here, which is a great start, honestly. Them being able to get any kind of early pressure, even if it's just level 1, is great because it gets them in a position where they can try to keep that lead as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely right. You know, we're expecting for the majority of this lane to control, you know, priority of the bot lane to actually go in favor of the Zyrel. But of course, Jinx having that little bit of extra range at the level 1 mark is, like you mentioned, going to allow the side of Drop Dead Fury to get that first push. IK Imagine already. A little bit of a movement there from the mid lane to get a deep ward on to the enemy red buff. So they're going to be able to spot out the Yote as the Udyr moves through his jungle.
That's very, very good. You want to be able to keep track of this Udyr because he's the one thing that makes these lanes a little bit scary. If you know where Udyr is, you know right now, Sejuani knows I can fight Ornn as much as I would like right now. I can be as aggressive as I need to be because Udyr is down on that bottom side. If there's no jungle pressure here, I think there's a lot more chances for these lanes to get ahead.
Well, Sejuani, as it turns out, not really interested in fighting Ornn at the moment. Losing out,
not right now.
Out in these trades. Yeah, he's going to be able to catch this minion wave, though, as it crashes into the turret.
Yeah, just going to be holding out. Ornn is weird because he's still able to fight pretty early. He's just known for being that champion that can be a tank while also having a good laning phase. Sejuani does kind of fulfill that as well, although we usually have seen the Sejuani with the like Ignite TP back in the day. Right now, though, I'm sure is not having the greatest of times, though, in that top lane.
Yeah, another brittle auto there coming through for the American Ninja. Gonna get the Sejuani down to about 200 HP. Taking a look at the bot lane for now, though, as the wave has cascaded in the other direction. Border Jumper and No Leash looking to crash that one. I'm sure it's getting so low up here. The Sejuani is going to have to base and teleport back to the lane very early on.
Yeah, not the best of experiences there for I'm sure. In a worst case scenario, Sejuani will just scale up and be that front line. You don't need Sejuani to win this lane to be relevant later on, which is great. But you can also see right now, Border Jumper getting caught.
Yeah, one more auto attack, stack of those concussive blows. They are going to get the stun, but Zai able to trade back really nicely onto Fable's Braum there. Makes that trade pretty even overall.
Yeah, a little bit aggressive there, but most importantly, Border Jumper and No Leash have been just harassing Bam and Fable. They've been getting poked down, so when they do get that ability to engage, they can't all in because they still lose that fight. Border Jumper can just play forward like this.
Yeah, does have to be a little bit careful. You know, it has gone through the health potion already, so no sustain in this lane either. So we'll see how long Border Jumper and No Leash want to hang out down here before going for a reset themselves.
Yeah, I would like to clarify, I'm not saying run under tower. I'm not saying you can play that confident. I do want that to be
I don't
clear.
know, I mean, 34 kills is a pretty tough mark to beat. I feel like Border Jumper's got to get started pretty early, right? If he's going to be able to make it happen.
Yeah, we'll see. Also, a sizable CS advantage here for the bot lane for Bam and Fabled. So far, this lane has gone pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely right. Both bot lanes are going to go for the reset here. We do have our first dragon. It's going to be a mountain to start us off. Nobody really making any moves towards that one just yet. We have, of course, have some grubs coming in just a few seconds as well.
I did not know that canceled that. I'm sure it just Sejuani queued into the Ornn dash and canceled it, which is kind of crazy. I see how that lane could be pretty tough to deal with now.
Yeah, Arctic Assault taking priority there, I guess. I think that just happened again, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So, American Ninja going to chunk down a little bit now. Seems that this matchup may have turned a corner in Sejuani's favor.
Yeah, with the pressure now, we see that lane control coming in. It does mean that
Meat Mangler actually moving over from mid here.
Oh, this could be a big fight.
Yeah,
Meat Mangler does not want to be here.
Flash forward the commitment onto the Victor. Meat Mangler flashes away, but it is going to get clipped by the seismic shove. The Chaos Storm does come out. It's going to be IK Magic. Bring down so low with the first blood. It will go over to the Psych ward. It's going to be the jungler who picks it up. Although the dragon is secured by Drop Dead Fury. That's going to be Neo able to sneak in there and smite that one away. So the gold's going in favor of the Psych ward, but at least Drop Dead Fury gets something out of it.
That is pretty huge for them to get at least a dragon. Honestly, though, if you're a Psych ward, you're happy. You get a kill there. You get a kill on the Lilia, who is just really capable of hitting that first item power spike and being really hard to fight. That fight just catching Meat Mangler out did not need to be there, did not need to be that far forward, and did pay the price for it. But with the Dragon Steel, at least a little bit of that scaling given time there.
Yeah, I do want to call out, this Psych ward, we're potentially in a really difficult spot there, right? They were getting collapsed on both sides. It was Meat Mangler coming in from the mid lane, and then Bam and Fable simultaneously moving up, from the bot lane here. But it was a really decisive move from the Psych ward to collapse onto the Victor, fully commit for that kill, and they were able to secure it, get that first little bit of gold onto the Lilia like we were just talking about. So really good from them to, make the best of a pretty tough situation. We are seeing here Neo's Udyr is going to be able to secure one, or actually two of the Void Grubs. So that's going to be all these neutrals going the way of Drop Dead Fury so far.
It is very, very good. Definitely should have at least a little bit more time here where the Udyr can be a little bit difficult to fight. Now, American Ninja in trouble.
Flash away for the ninja, but the Glacial Prison, it will connect. The Ornn, though, calls upon the Forge.
Oh, no.
Does get the double knockoff, and the Brittle Auto takes
Sleep
down the Sejuani, but it is going to be the sleep on the two. Brock comes in there with the Swirl Seed, with the blooming blows, and picks up the double kill, 3-0 for the Psych War jungler.
That is so unfortunate. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't just go all in on the Ornn there when the ultimate started to come through. Try to kill Ornn before that happened. It put them in a really rough spot because I'm sure it just dies. But Brock, able to get the sleep off, had just enough time to get that off, get the Q afterwards, grab 2 kills, gets the grubs as well, gets that last grub. Now, Brock in a very strong spot. This Lilia needs to start taking over this game now.
Really nice moment there, actually, we just saw as well. No Leash taking the Winter's Bite for Border Jumper. Allows the Xayah to complete the recall and secure that favorable base timing. So some lovely little support play there from No Leash.
I do love to see that. 80 carry timer. Usually more important. Be able to get back in lane. Yeah. Especially when you're rushing boots on that rel as well.
Absolutely. And now Xayah able to get back and pick up all that minion wave. Thanks to the block from No Leash. Time Short is continuing to trade pretty aggressively against the Ornn up here, but the Ornn is once again winning out at the current time.
Ornn also going to eventually hit that point where those items can get upgraded as well. Is going to be going for the, oh my goodness, why? I forget the name of the magic resist Sunfire item, but will be
Oh, the Hollow Radiance.
Hollow Radiance. Yeah, I never build
right,
it,
yeah.
so I don't ever remember it. But
Fair enough.
honestly, pretty solid there because it's more importantly than anything helps that wave clear a lot. Means American Ninja can start to get some pressure on that tower where I'm sure it has started to struggle when that pressure has come in. Oh.
Definitely. It's going to have a ton of value against the Lily and the 20 as well. As the Glacial Prison is going to be forced out. Swirl C, though, connects as Brock makes his way into the top lane. Once again, American Ninja is going to try calling upon the force.
Nope.
To finish off the Sejuani, but is not able to do so. Oh, with a Super Mega Death Rocket from long range. That is going to be Bam's first kill of the game. And it's a 1-for-1 in the top side.
That's huge for Bam. Just doesn't even have to do anything. Shows up at the door and gets given a kill. Beautiful stuff for Bam. Another kill going over to Brock, though. That is 4-0 on the Lilia. Already has the Leandries, has those upgraded boots as well. Very strong Lilia. Have to keep that in mind because Lilia will shred through this front line. And remember how important that front line is for Jinx to buy time. This does look like it's going to be a lethality Jinx, though. I do want to point that out. That has started to come into play a little bit. Just because of how strong lethality is and how good the scalings are for Jinx, she could just melt people with poke.
Absolutely right. You know, we do have our second dragon on the Rift right now. Controlling the bot lane at the moment for Drop Dead Fury. They are going to move in here, start clearing out some vision. Brock currently waiting, as we can see on the map here, in that top side line brush next to the mid lane, hoping to catch Meat Mangler out of position. But the Victor is not really stepping up. Lilia is kind of wasting a lot of time here. Not going to connect to the swirls. See, I can imagine is going to get targeted here by the Chaos Storm. But the Victor going to sleep. The Storm Death Rocket will not connect this time around. Talia barely able to limp away. And Brock's patience will be rewarded with yet another kill. All 5 of these kills in the Lilia's pockets.
Lilia.
We do have no leash going to be engaged. Flashes for the Mega Storm. On to 2. The Dragon is stolen away. And the Psych Ward, they clean up the team fight. On top of the objective, it's an absolute massacre. 3 dead for Drop Dead Fury, and that was a decisive swing for the #1 seed.
Every minute leading up to this point was just something slowly falling apart for Drop Dead. They were just like, okay, top lane goes down. We're getting another kill to Lilia, another kill to Lilia. And we finally get to this dragon fight where your mid laner is gone. Meat Mangler not on the map. Neote just goes in, tries to grab this dragon fast, but does not have the time. Brock able to show up, doesn't even need the ult because Lilia's damage is already insane. And with the follow-up there and the Xayah ult, beautiful stuff for Psych Ward, set up perfectly thanks to the over-aggression of trying to sneak that objective away.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really fault Drop Dead Fury for going for it. But though, I mean, they had the prio in the bot lane. You know, things definitely started feeling a little bit more risky once Brock revealed himself for that mid play. But, you know, ultimately, I feel like it was a reasonable attempt from Drop Dead Fury. They just got outplayed.
Yeah, it is gonna be tough now because, you know, we said DDF are in a place where they need to be able to just back away and scale up. They need to be able to scale up, and they are struggling to reach that point. We have a very, very strong jungler, and when it is a jungler that has damage that can be anywhere on the map very quick, Lilia is a menace right now.
Well, Super Mega Death Rocket not going to connect. Meat Mangler did have to flash away there, so that is an important summoner spell down for the Victor.
Is going to be another summoner spell going for Meat Mangler, and again, just more defensive posturing. Oh no!
Bam and Fable looking to try to back away here. They do have their jungler to try and heal for him, but Bam trapped in the alcove. Jinx going to sleep. But the CC, it comes through once again. Border Jumper claims the first kill, and now the Xayah immunes the arrival of the Ornn with the Featherstorm, picks up the double kill. At least the American Ninja's gonna be able to get one back. Meat Mangler comes over, finishes off the round with the death ray, and they do manage to clean up the Talia as well. Board jumper, a nice play caller, but not quite nice enough as Beat Mangler barely survives, and that is, I believe, a shutdown, or at the very least, a triple kill going over to American Ninja's Orange.
Yeah, TP'd in. I honestly thought that TP was not going to work. I thought it was just going to be too little too late, but just enough damage there. The Hollow Radiance alongside the ult damage. Enough to get American Ninja the damage to kill multiple people. This Ornn is massive right now. It is not the Jinx where you would like to have that money, for sure, but it is at least stemming that bleeding that was happening so very hard for Drop Dead.
Absolutely right. That is a lot of gold going over to them to be able to close that differential a little bit. Only 1.5k in favor of the Psych Ward at the moment. Like you said, though, the fact that that gold pretty much all went to the Ornn is not necessarily ideal. And the Lilia and the Xayah are both feeling very, very strong with how this game has gone so far. It is an infernal soul that we have on our hands as well, Thousand Eyes. So, that is definitely something that both these teams are really going to want to fight for. We do see Shelly arrive down here towards the bottom side. I'm sure they're actually going to move in to the mid lane here. Look for the Glacial Prison on to Victor, who didn't have flash. Meat Mangler.
Oh, gets
getting
away!
Burned down. Actually will survive. The Victor lives. The bot lane tier 1, not so lucky, but very nice there for Drop Dead Fury that they don't lose their mid laner.
Yeah, that is so big. Continuing to buy time for this Victor. I do want to check where Victor's stacks are at. We are at still unevolved, I believe. No, should be evolved. Should be evolved on at least one of these spells. Okay, yeah, has 2 of the spells evolved right now in the Q and the E. Still waiting for that final evolution to really become strong, but Meat Mangler has been just constant. I would say mangled, honestly, in this lane, and has had a constant attention here just because Lilia can always show up from either side of that lane.
Yeah, so certainly he wanted to be the one who mangles, but in this case, the one who's mangled. It's a little bit unfortunate. So we do see good attempt there from Bam, but the smite is true from Brock. That will be the first Infernal Dragon going over to the Psych Ward. And they are continuing to have some pretty solid control over this game. And I'd like to see them rotate the Xayah into the mid lane at this point, given the fact that they did destroy that tier 1 already. Could be the move now, so they do go for a reset.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the play. Towers are going to be starting to fall. American Ninja will get this top lane tower as well, as we are going to be not seeing any top lane objectives until Baron spawns next here.
Not quite able to secure it, actually, but a stiff breeze will knock that one over towards the top side. Our next objective not going to be for a little while. I mean, we've got Baron in a minute, but the Psych Ward, they don't have a decisive enough lead, I think, to necessarily start that one up on spawn or anything like that. They do have some decent turn with the Lilia and the Rel, but feels like that would be a bit over aggressive. Given things have been going pretty well for them so far, no reason to make such a risky play as to start up an early Nash.
Yeah, you're definitely, we're in a bit of a waiting zone, and this is where we Drop Dead want to be. They want to be sitting here just buying time, waiting things out. Unfortunately, they definitely need to be waiting a bit longer here, and their timer's starting to tick really fast because this Lilia can just show up whenever. Dragons are already at 2. I would expect that we're still going to be seeing Psych Ward at a strong enough point that they will be able to take the next dragon as well, which puts us on Soul Point. And then you always have that fear of an Infernal Soul getting picked up by a team that has so much damage built into their composition.
Yeah, absolutely right. We do have 2 items completed at this point for our 2 richest characters in the game, that being, of course, the Lilia and the Ornn. Ornn is also level 13. So he has completed that first ornament, 1 more level. And he'll be able to dish out the next one. Do you have a prediction? Is the first gifted ornament going to the Victor or the Jinx? What do we think?
I think you give it to the Jinx. I think Jinx should be your priority. Jinx is your priority in this team comp right now. I know it is lethality, but you definitely want to be getting Jinx off the ground. Victor has been struggling a bit, but Jinx is your DPS, and you need that DPS to get through this Rel and Sejuani.
Do have that opportunity completed now for Bam, so that's confirming the lethality, like you were discussing for us earlier on.
Yeah. It is definitely tough now because Psych Ward
Blade done for border jumper as well.
Psych Ward definitely do feel like they need to move here, and this is not great. Xayah ult being used is tough because now that team fight potential is always there. Ornn, American Ninja can just pop that ult whenever. That ult should be back up before the next dragon, so shouldn't be too much of a problem, but definitely means you have to play defensive for a bit here.
Yeah. Border jumper
Good
just
flash.
disrespecting the range of the Jinx a little bit there, and yeah, that's going to be the flash force out from the Sejuani as well. That is not going to be back for the dragon fight. Something to keep in mind.
Brock.
And
Ooh.
Sejuani is actually getting collapsed on, but the Jinx is the one who's in trouble. Has the cleanse to get away from the lilting lullaby, so Bam will survive. But that is both summoners down now for the Jinx. Some more tools that are not going to be back for that dragon fight that we keep mentioning. Because it is going to be just so very important, right? And we've discussed that already as well. The fact that because it's Infernal Soul, if this next dragon does go over to the Psych Ward, that is going to put so much pressure on Drop Dead Fury from that point onwards, right? To really be flawless around these objectives. You know, one more mistake after that, probably just going to be the game. So we'll see what the setup looks like.
I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure I liked that play from Brock. Because, yes, you get the Jinx and Flash and Cleanse, but that ultimate is not up for next dragon fight. And Lilia ult is so crucial for these team fights. Jinx, Flash and Cleanse are nice, but they're your panic options. Lilia without ult in these team fights now is a much rougher team fight because you are hoping that the CC you have from the Rel and the Sejuani is enough for Talia and Xayah to pump out damage. Lilia cannot really set up that fight in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely fair. The Lilia ultimate is going to be back about 20 seconds after the dragon spawn here. Dragon has made its way onto the rift now.
If
so
they can buy time, it's okay.
It's not a Psych where they could just play this slow. Yeah, wait for the Lilia to come back off cooldown. They do need to get the shove out here on this mid wave as well. As Ornn is just teleported into the play. American Ninja is going to get concussed a little bit
back
here. That is the permafrost actually from the Sejuani, of course. A nice shove there onto Udyr. He's going to be able to dash away from this one. Call the Forge God. The second cast of that not going to come through with the Rel. He's going to be the first to fall in the team. But American Ninja charging forward, finds the knock-up onto Border Jumper, but the Ornn is going to be the next to fall. I can't imagine off the side. He's going to have to flash away from the Oats. As Talia and Udyr are both chunked down pretty low, but the shove connects, and the jungler now is down for DDF. I can't imagine. No, he does that. And maybe was going to flash in, takes down the mid laner, but here comes Lilia.
Oh, no.
Bam not able to connect the zap onto the Zaun. It's going to be a triple kill over for Brock as the Blasco is going to continue the chase. The swirl seed not going to land, but I don't think.
Oh,
Mean Mangler. He is in fact the one who mangles. Victor turns it around on the deer. What a chaotic team fight, and it will end in the ace coming through as the Border Jumper able to clean up that last kill. Xayah going to be able to get the dragon as well. It was a good attempt for DDF, but in the end, 1,000 Eyes just not quite it.
I mean, so let's go back, because I don't even know where to start with that fight, but that fight looked like it was going well for Drop Dead for a while. They were getting in onto Border Jumper. IK Badger was off on the side, getting run down by this Udyr, but the whole reason that fight felt even and that fight felt kind of strong for DDF is Brock was not in for it for a while. It was a very slow fight. Brock finally shows up, is able to put out damage. Did take a while to get in the right position, and the ult really only went onto a Braum that was already about to die. So not ideal. But once you got that Lilia in, there is your gold value. There is your damage. And TBW, able to run away with that fight, especially considering Boredom Jump were able to stay alive for as long as they did.
Yeah, definitely a good thing to note. Lilia just, maybe the rest of the team just go in a little bit too soon before the Lilia was ready, but maybe we just have to give credit to DE, yeah, for being proactive and starting that fight and kind of seeing the angle. It's just kind of tragic for them that it ended up being the Ornn who is the first casualty, their strongest, most fed member. American Ninja was trying to charge for Glacial Prison connecting onto Neo. Does have a blast cone.
Gotta hit the blast cone!
It, though. It's like they never hit the blast cone. The Udyr is going to go down, and it's right in front of Baron Thousand Eyes. Absolute tragedy of Shakespearean proportions. So, actually, they're not even looking for the Baron. They're looking for the collapse here onto the bot lane. I can't imagine on the flank has Bam trapped right where he wants him. The Lilia Duck going to connect onto both of them. It's a double kill over. The Border Jumper Victor now is going to go to sleep, and he will not be waking up anytime soon. It's 4 kills, seemingly out of nowhere for TPW. And that is probably just a wrap on game 1.
It feels like it. That feels like a game-losing fight. And Niyote going down so early, just not able to hit the blast cone. I don't know if the camera was not at the right spot or just couldn't get onto it for some reason or another. Goes down, just starts a chain reaction of events because they try to respond a little bit, but a great flank by IK Imagine to just push the rest of that team in. They couldn't keep going that way. Shows up, pinches at just the right time to take out the rest of that team. Beat Mangler, bam. Just no escape opportunities there. And with that, it is now an 8,000 gold lead, a 3 dragon soul point now for Psych Ward, and they are looking like they want to move this down the mid lane, try to get this win soon.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Bam and Fable just sort of expecting the same thing that I was, right? They were expecting the Psych Ward to go for the Baron and just didn't really consider the possibility that they were actually the target. So, good move there from the Psych Ward, having that killer instinct, right? Realizing that they could get even more and then executing on it very nicely. And we did actually have a good point from Twitch chat, surprisingly, a moment ago.
Surprisingly. That's crazy. I love you, Twitch chat. I believe you. I'm here for you.
Yeah, fair enough. They have their moments. I won't deny. As Neo's Udyr actually went unstoppable in that moment to try and deny the CC from coming through so that he could escape. But because you're unstoppable, you actually are unaffected by blast cones.
Yeah.
So that may have been actually what caused.
That does make sense. It's the same thing with Olaf. If you Olaf, all blast cones are off limits for you, which is usually not a problem, but in these specific scenarios, yeah, you do pay the price for that one. Anti-CC does mean all anti-CC.
Yeah, absolutely right. Blast cones included. But at least silver linings for DDF. They have been able to hold the line pretty well here. The base not been broken into or anything like that. They're able to continue scaling up. They're going to get some more items for Victor and for Jinx. But they are going to have to deal with this next Infernal Dragon that's spawning in about 35 seconds. And, there are some pretty strong scaling carriers on the side of the Psych Ward as well. And once they have an Infernal Soul, I just don't really know if the team fighting composition is going to be able to do its thing the way that I'm sure they would like it to.
It does feel like too little too late right now. There's obviously always the possibility, and American Ninja is strong still. This is a very scary Ornn, but the team fight just is not there. They need to be able to find these picks with numbers advantage or in a position where they have the 1v1 with their gold in the right spot for that 1v1. But right now, they are grouping, and there is another dragon on the board. This is Soul, if it is picked up by Psych Ward, and they are definitely looking to start it.
Okay, here comes the teleport from the American Ninja. We're going to be able to join up the rest of the team. The dragon is already just gone. They're not able to get into the river to contest in time. The knockup does connect, but in goes the Lilia. Flashes in, finds the 3-man sleep. And it just felt like this fight was over before it even began. It was the Psych Ward with position in the river. It was DDF desperately moving in to try and punish, but in the end, they were a little bit too little and a little bit too late.
Yeah, it's a lose-lose situation for Drop Dead because they have to take that fight because it's a soul, but they also cannot team fight. They just are not strong enough, and they pay the price heavily for that. You saw just how much damage this Lilia can put out with the sleep on top of that, and Border Jumper just left alone to be able to just pump out damage. 7-1 on this Xayah. Yeah, Brock also 14-2. We were talking about the kill. We're trying to go for a new record on kills. Brock's definitely the one aiming for that more this time around.
Yeah, it's been a stormer of a game for Brock there on the Lilia, no doubt about it. Really was taken over from very early on, right? So props there. I think well deserved all 14 of those kills for the Lilia. And we'll see what that final tally is going to be. I still think that 34 is pretty tough to beat. And remember, those 34 kills, that game only lasted 27 minutes as well. So this one already, a little bit longer.
Yeah, it is now just kind of like, it feels like a formality at this point where we're going to see Psych Ward just kind of push. I really would like to just see them group at this point. You have a Baron spawning in a minute if you really want to stall things out and play it super duper safe. But I really think they're strong enough to just team fight and get their win by shoving in. They have the wave clear. They have enough in terms of the Xayah and Talia to be able to take down towers. Even if they force a full-on team fight, I think they are A-okay in most situations.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I do think they probably are strong enough to play a little bit more aggressively from this position, but at the same time, it is playoffs, right? And you do want to, play in a way that minimizes the possibility of making mistakes, minimizes the possibility of giving your opponents any windows. Neod is going to have to flash away here because he did want to try and get some vision around this Baron. Unfortunately, that was not going to be an option that was available for you here. This blue buff's going to get stolen away as well. And this is pretty suffocating. I mean, it's not aggressive necessarily, the way the Psych Ward are playing this out, but they're playing very cleanly, right? They're not giving their opponents any windows.
Yeah. They are just choking them out at this point, which is a little scary into scaling, but really it does just feel like it is way too late now. And you can see it. Drop Dead don't even want to fight this. They have Victor on the bot lane. They're not looking to TP. They don't want, they don't want to. They lose that fight. Baron is so easy to take for Lilia teams. Now, Imagine now trying to come in. Oh.
Here it is, the collapse. Bam is going to get clipped, shoved back into the waiting
That's so sad.
arms of Imagine's Talia. And there was nobody to feel for the Jinx. Everybody is just scattering, trying to escape. It's Udyr without flash is going to be able to get away. Let's see what the formation is going to be for the Psych Ward to close this one out.
I mean, it really, really should just be grouping. I don't like the fact that Imagine is down on the bot side right now, just pushing this lane. We don't need to push this lane. We could just group. Back TP into this fight here with the wave, and you are A-okay. I really,
so, could join it.
If this game was closer, this would be a lot rougher because you'd be just giving a lot of extra time to scale. I don't think it matters in this instance, but this does worry me for future situations.
Certainly something we will kind of keep an eye on as we move into the next game. That's going to be a flash forward for Fable. Gets some knock up onto Brock. He's going to go golden to immune. The Call of the Forge got, but help is not coming. Oh, he does get the 3-man sleep. The Lilia actually going to go into watch out. He even gets the kill and the 2 kills for the Lilia in a 1v5 situation. Brock, you absolute monster. I didn't know deers were predators, but there you go. The rest of the team is going to be able to take down this bot lane inhibitor while the entirety of Drop Dead Fury was trying to deal with that Lilia. And, at least the Psych Ward, they're not going to be able to continue any further without said Lilia. But still, it's looking pretty good for him.
Yeah, this is also though a bit of a weird spot. Yeah, they get a couple kills, but Elder Dragon is spawning here. Bot lane will be pushing out, but you have Udyr who can push pretty solidly with that Leandries and should be grabbing that wave bot lane. You get the opportunity to shove that out if you just full on fight at this Elder. If you can somehow steal this Elder, all of a sudden Drop Dead have a win con. They have a way to actually play team fights from that point. It's not
True.
obviously the most ideal situation to be in, but it is an opening. It is an opportunity that I don't think Drop Dead should have been given here. I think Psych really, even without the Lilia, still had some pressure to be able to give there with 2 people down for DDF. So now the fight looking like it's going to start soon.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just a little bit of a better position for Drop Dead Fury this time around. They're able to push their way into this river, or just about able to do anyways. American Ninja stepping forward, call the force back to come out here as the Elder has already been started. Only going to click onto the Sedge one. You know, it's a beautiful engage. Bruno leaves a Madden from on the entire front line, and the health bar's just getting
Jinx
absolutely shredded. The Rel will fall. Jinx getting excited. Bam trying to maker, but is just going to burn down to the Lilia dot. It is Meat Maker, the last carry surviving, the last player surviving. The pentakill will come through for Brock's Lilia, as it looks like the Psych are going to be able to end this first game very stylishly indeed.
Oh my goodness. I think it was a lot closer than it needed to be. I don't think Psych needed to wait for an entire Elder Dragon to come through in order to end this game. They played it a little bit risky, still able to just close that out. 21 kills for Brock, and that is an incredibly strong start for Psych.
Yeah, definitely the case. You know, we actually did get a little bit of a snippet from the Psych before we started the match. You know, just sort of describing their team and how they like to play. They did mention that not only the ADC, but also the jungler are the 2 main carries for the squad. And we absolutely did get to see that here in game number 1.
Yeah,
pretty easy POG vote as well, I think.
Oh, brother, if we're picking somebody else, I'm kicking them off the team. Like we're not. It is Brock just dominated 40,000 damage in a 37-minute game. Disgustingly strong start there for Psych. And now I want to see what the response is for DDF, because they definitely have some opportunities here. We kind of talked about them at the later points of this game where there were chances here. There was opportunities that were open for them, and I want to see DDF do something about that. I want to see them take these opportunities when they are open and do a little bit more with the space that they're being given. Punish that space that is being given by their opponents here. So we'll see what these teams want to cook up for this next game.
Indeed. You know, we're of course gonna have side selection for the side of Drop Dead Fury as well. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, overall, pretty convincing win for the side of the Psych here in game number 1. Despite the fact they didn't push their advantages maybe necessarily as hard as they could have, they overall felt like were very cohesive and did not give their opponents many chances to try and come back into the game. Guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we come back, the draft for game 2. All right, Style fans, welcome back. We are about to get underway with our Game 2 Champion Select. Drop Dead Fury, as the losers of Game number 1, have selected to move on over to the red side for this second game. Thousand Eyes, your thoughts on that decision?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think, honestly, red side feels a bit stronger right now because before we had things like Senna, which were like must bans and things like that, and now things feel a little bit more in flux, which means having giving away a first pick to the other side doesn't feel as rough, but you do love having that last pick. Being able to counter pick one of your solo lanes is very, very good, especially when you're looking at how strong some of these counter picks could be if you do blind pick. So it's like we're gonna have to be prepared for that. Our bans look pretty similar here. We'll see if it is gonna be the Lilia instead of the Kai'Sa. So Kai'Sa did make it through. Psych Ward obviously just going through the same bans that they had before.
Yeah, absolutely right. We'll see if the Kai'Sa is going to be prioritized here. The blue side versus red side debate is definitely one that I find very interesting, right? And it does vary depending on the state of the game, right? But there's a lot of other variables as well. For instance, like you were talking about, the biggest kind of advantage, as we do see the Kai'Sa locked away on B1 here, biggest advantage for red side is getting the counter picks in those solo lanes, the very least in one solo lane, right? But that kind of requires your players to have a certain depth of champion pool and to play whatever it is that is going to counter what your opponents have selected. So it can be very conditional in that sort of sense. So hopefully Drop Dead Fury are going to be able to show us that flexibility and get some good value out of the red side here, especially considering the fact that they have kind of been forced to give up the Kai'Sa to the blue side.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna be watching the Kai'Sa here for Border Jumper because I want to see why is that banned away? How good is that? Because Kai'Sa hasn't been super strong in the current meta, but if you are good at that champion, you can do some crazy stuff. Varus has been picking up a little bit of priority. I still think overall fairly weak. Does have flexibility to go lethality or go for the on-hit build. The Rek'Sai is also interesting too because you are picking
Very
that again when you're picking that into something like Kai'Sa that just has that shield to be able to stay alive there. Rek'Sai is usually known for just being able to like get people from a distance with that targeted ult. Kai'Sa can dodge it, or Kai'Sa can't really like dodge it very well, but she does get that massive shield. So options available to stay alive through this Kai'Sa, and with Nocturne going in for a Varus, I think Psych Ward are poised to have another pretty strong early to mid game.
Yeah, absolutely. The possibilities of the Kai'Sa following up, of course, on the Paranoia as well. There also is the potential for some funny business. If the Rek'Sai does go for her ultimate, then the Kai'Sa can use the Killer Instinct to kind of reposition in a way that would cause the Rek'Sai to reappear in an unfavorable position. So that is something else to look out for. But we do have the Mordekaiser coming through here on the R3. So this definitely feels like a bit of a call-out for Drop Dead Fury. They are predicting the Sejuani top once again, which, to be fair, I think is a pretty safe prediction.
I would be amazed. We are going into the clown zone if we are putting these champions, I think, anywhere else at this point. You would have to shift that composition very heavily. Put either the Nocturne or the Sejuani. No.
In the past.
It's not a good thing.
Fair enough.
Mordekaiser, though, is just very strong into that Sejuani. You do just kind of beat up on her. And Sejuani usually wants to be against those either bruisers that she can out-tank or the tanks that she can out-damage. Mordekaiser does beat her on both of those fronts, so will be a rough top lane for Psych Ward for sure.
Yeah, that is, I think, the expectation here. And remember, of course, in the previous game, American Ninja was kind of the strong point for Drop Dead Fury, getting very, very powerful on the Ornn. So, this time around, with the counter pick, we'll have to see what the top laner for DDF is going to be able to make happen. They have banned away now the Lissandra and the Leona here from the red side with their second phase of bans. It's going to be the Sylas and the Seraphine removed by TPW. Lulu going to come through here on the R4. paired up alongside the Varus. So I think that does kind of indicate to us that is likely to be the on-hit variant for BAM.
Yes. I don't like Lulu right now. I don't
But
think this is a controversy. Look, the buff did not fix the problems that Lulu has, and the problems that Lulu has is that her items suck right now. Like, Ardent Sensor has not been very good. She wants to go for those shield heal items. Most of them are outside Redemption, which, not terribly great as a single shield heal power item. Not great. Moonstone is all right on her. Shurelia's fine, but you're building that for the active, not the stats, really. And the biggest thing is she doesn't really abuse Helia terribly well. So when you're looking at an enchanter meta that is Helia Moonstone, and Lulu doesn't do that terribly well, especially because her ult does not get bonuses from Moonstone. It is not a heal. It is just giving you flat health. So no bonus for that. Lulu has just kind of been struggling. She still has early game presence and power though. And that is kind of the one thing that she does really, really well as a enchanter support. And with a short range champ like Kai'Sa, you do have a lot of power to do so.
Excellent points, Thousand Eyes. We do have quite a bit of catching up to do here in the draft. We did see the Galio brand come through for the Psych Ward. I think expectations are that Galio is going to be going mid and the brand is going to be played in the support position, but certainly I think there's the possibility of some shenanigans happening there. And then, of course, the Garrett is going to come through here on the R5 for Meat Mangler, a very different look than what we saw in game number 1, where the Meat Mangler was piloting the Victor. And we'll see what the Garen mid is going to be able to get done. Clearly, Meat Mangler, similar expectations as myself, looking for that matchup into the Galio.
Yeah, I definitely would expect it to be brand support. I think kind of just as a response to that Lulu, right? Like what Lulu does well is against a lot of other supports, she can poke them out and be frustrating and annoying. Not able to do that as much into a brand. If you get into brand's range of influence, you are getting poked down pretty heavily. So I like the brand pick. I do think it's a little tough because in lane, Kai'Sa won't get those stacks as easily for the hard crowd control. But when you look at the rest of the team, Sejuani and Galio definitely make up enough of that for team fights.
Yeah, for sure. And you're not really picking the Kai'Sa for lane phase anyways, right? You're really picking her for those mid-game fights where you can have that really big impact. The brand value is really high as well, just because there's so many melee champions here for the side of Drop Dead Fury. So the chances of getting a ton of value from the ultimate there, very high for no leash here for the brand.
Not just a ton of melee champions, but a ton of melee champions without like dashes or anything like that. The things that you can use. They're champions that want to click on you so that their champion paths directly to you. And that's where brand really does excel, because that stun on the Q is just a straight skill shot. If Garrett is trying to push Q and run directly at me, I'm just going to hit EQ on brand and stun him every single time. So I think the brand is a solid pickup here into a lot of these champions. I am a little concerned in terms of just like Rek'Sai. That is a little bit of food for Rek'Sai in the right situations. So Drop Dead Fury have their opportunities here, especially when you look at, okay, top lane should be really good for them. Rek'Sai does have some champions to beat up on, can fight this Nocturne pretty early as well. They have some win conditions here. I just want to see them utilize them this time around.
Yeah, it almost feels like what we want to see from these compositions from these teams is kind of reversed from the drafts that we saw in game 1, right? Before it was Drop Dead Fury with the super strong scaling team fighting composition, right? Where they just need to like bide their time in the early game, get through lane phase, get their items, and then look to fight afterward. This time around feels like they have all these champions that really want to be more proactive early on, right? They want to control these lanes. They want to, prevent their opponents from getting position on the map and really try and win out that way. Whereas for the Psych wards, before they had some more unorthodox tools, with the Talia mid that was going to be able to roam around and create these angles. Galio can accomplish, it's a similar sort of thing. But it does feel like they have the stronger team fighting this time around.
It definitely does. Now, Psych Ward are like individually those champions like do kind of struggle a little bit here, and Garen into Galio. I know Garen has been a very prominent mid lane pick as of recent patches, which hurts me in my soul to say. But Garen also just kind of does have a little bit of a weakness here in terms of if he tries to just continually play aggressive into this Galio, there is set up there for Nocturne to be able to just fly in at any point. And you only have so much time on that tenacity with Garen W to be able to get out of it, because the Galio, you imagine this, you're pushing as Garen, you're pressuring this Galio, which is what you want to do in this lane, and then Galio just ease onto you, gets the taunt as the lights go off. Nocturne can just fly in and just fear you, continue that CC chain while pumping out damage on top of you.
Yeah, and there's even possibilities of Border Jumper being able to join in for that sort of play as well.
Yep.
If the Kai'Sa has control in the bot lane and has a window to move up, there's a ton of really explosive long-range follow-up for the Psych Ward with this composition. So that is, I think, going to be key, is Garen is going to have to choose his moments very carefully, which is, generally speaking, not a strength of Garen players.
Didn't have to do it.
Sorry
like
if that was too mean.
Little harsh there, don't you think? We're attacking Twitch
hey,
chat.
Garen
Now we're
players have
attacking
plenty of other things
Garen
going for
players. Like, what's next? We're gonna just say we hate Master Yi players. They're terrible people. Like, what?
I mean, I don't think that needs to be said. Everybody has their strengths and weaknesses, okay, Thousand Eyes?
Yeah.
I'm not
Tryndamere players
just to hate.
Best to just not be on the game. That's where their strength is.
Yeah. Well, that aside, we don't have to worry about it in this particular game, as Tryndamere has not reared his head in this one, thankfully. So I don't have to worry about that too much. As it is going to be really interesting to see, right? Where do you think the Rek'Sai is going to be prioritizing early on? I think that's the last really key question for me, is because they do have, for the side of DDF, both of these really strong solo lanes, right? They were able to get those counter picks in both solo lanes, so they should theoretically have a ton of options in this early game in terms of what they want to play for. So what do you think the Rek'Sai is going to be looking to accomplish?
I really think the best option is for Rek'Sai to actually gank top. I think if that Mordekaiser gets ahead, you become a stat stick that nobody really has an answer to. So that's really important and crucial for that. I think bot lane is an opportunity as well, especially post 6. But mid lane is going to be tough. To try and gank a Galio with all the CC that Galio has as a melee champion, not a fun time. And Garen should be able to hold his own in that matchup. If I am Rek'Sai, I'm definitely looking at these side lanes, and just because Kai'Sa brand is very squishy, you should have an opportunity to grab a kill there, and you want to get that Mordekaiser ahead.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And American Ninja did have a pretty fantastic lane phase in the previous game as well. We'll see if the top laner for DDF is going to be able to follow that up after we get onto the Rift for game number 2. See you there. Alright, Style fans, welcome back to Summoner's Rift for our second game of the night. The second game here in the Zaun Rumble stage. We, of course, have our sides switched for this next game. Psych Ward now on the blue side. Drop Dead Fury, looking to bounce back after that Game 1 loss on the red with some interesting counter picks in these solo lanes. Brock and Short, looking like they might potentially go for a delayed invade here.
Yeah, this is interesting. Meat Mangler will see this.
Yeah, gonna find Darren in the bush. Meat Mangler, gonna spot him out. It's going to silence the Sejuani temporarily. Short definitely taking the worst end of this one. And it's gonna be a little bit tight on the recall. Sejuani might be a little bit late to lane here.
I'm kind of curious here because I don't think that starting Q on Sejuani talks. No, it is. It is the normal start. Okay.
We are going mid lane with the Sejuani.
I am sad.
Why are you sad? That was
like. I think probably this is probably the objectively right thing to do for Psych Ward, but I think that matchup is. I think both these matchups are a lot less interesting because it just becomes okay. Now we have the magic resist tank up against the Mordekaiser, who just has all the CC to stop Mordekaiser, and then Sejuani, really for the most part, can kind of just survive up against this Garen, especially in the mid lane and how short of a lane it is. Garen usually kind of against tanks excels in those longer lanes to be able to chase people down.
Yeah, it does feel actually especially bad for the Galio as well, right? Because you just have fewer options once you hit level 6 with the hero's entrance. That's why he's usually played in mid lane, right? It's because you have access to so much of the map with that, semi-global ultimate. But
yes,
not gonna be the case for Imagine this time around.
Yeah, but I do think it is good into this Mordekaiser matchup, and that's I think that's preferable there, especially with just how much that was like. Okay, Mordekaiser pretty good into Sejuani. Garen pretty solid into. Yeah, look at this damage.
Oh, look at this trade. Yeah, he's actually go for the taunt. American Ninja's in trouble. Pop the W shield of the Obliterate is good return damage onto Imagine's Galio, but we can see early on here exactly why the Psych Ward went for this swap.
I also will give the heads up ahead of time here. I cannot swap people on stream, so apologies ahead of time. I really should let the players know that they should stay in position, or at least swap if they're going to be swapping lanes.
Yeah, it can be tough though, right? Maybe it was a last-second audible coming out from the Psych Ward. We don't really know, but overall, I think Chad will be okay. You guys, it's not.
I need you guys to do the math yourself. You gotta be able to figure out numbers.
Fine.
It's
all the information is there.
Yeah.
It's just your eyes have to move a little bit more. It's gonna be okay. So we do have some priority for board jumper down here towards the bot side. Gonna be able to get that wave shoved out pretty nicely. As Nocturne has completed his full clear, waiting in that banana brush and bot side Rivers. Rek'Sai's gonna be quite a bit slower than the Nocturne, which is somewhat expected. Neil's gonna find a little bit of knock up there on an Leash, who does not connect on the Seer, and that is gonna mean that the Rek'Sai is totally fine. So it does look like it's gonna be a double crab situation though for the Nocturne. Brock off.
That's huge.
To a great start once again.
Yeah, no, that's huge for Nocturne. Nocturne wants to keep an experience lead against this Rek'Sai, especially when it's just both junglers are trying to farm, right? If it's just a farm lane and Brock just gets the bonus on that is massive. Because the sooner
we feel absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the sooner we get to the Nocturne 6, the sooner we will see Nocturne really kind of be online, and it's a recognizing like you got to do something in this situation. Timer for level 6 is ticking on Brock, and you want to use your power while you have it.
I mean, not just the Nocturne, right? It's for basically this entire composition for the Psych Ward spikes really hard at level 6. So that is going to be definitely a key point, I think, in the game. See if they're going to be able to utilize that spike effectively. As both of these solo lanes, look like in the draft, like EDF, American Ninja is going to be okay, it looks like. Makes it back to the tower. The Mordekaiser does still have the teleport as well, so no lead and get exhausted towards this bottom side. Finds the stun onto Bam's Varus. Border Jumper moving back up there, trying to create some space for the Sports retreat. Looks like they will be successful in moving back to the tower. They got the wave shoved out, and they do retreat without burning any summoners themselves.
They also trying to gank top lane now and is definitely very far behind. Lots of ganks, not a whole lot gained for it. Now maybe in trouble. No, just gonna get the
Wow, recall stopped there by Imagine.
I don't know if you can do that.
Forward. Finds the knock. I think the Death's Grasp though is on cooldown for American Ninja, and they are not going to be able to punish the Galio. So a nice interrupt there. And Neo, now you can see the Nocturne is actually counter jungling. Like as we speak, the Neo's basically gonna be stopped again as Rek'Sai gets chunked down. Still hasn't been able to complete the first recall, and is now like 4 camps behind Brock's Nocturne.
That is so bad on multiple levels, and I'll be real, part of that is on American Ninja. Not having that E up for that fight just wasted so much time. That was a kill. If Imagine went in and that Mordekaiser was ready to pull back there, just couldn't manage to do it. And because of that, Nyota gets the back stopped again, is now down 20 CS at 6.5 minutes and 2 levels. This is a level 4 Rek'Sai struggling on the grubs here, while Brock is already ready to use Paranoia.
Yeah, Matt, absolutely right. I think in American Ninja's defense, he just wasn't expecting to fight there, right? It was
No,
Neil
100%.
was trying to recall.
I get that.
It was just, wasn't able to. And okay, so the grubs are going to be secured. Now, American Ninja is going to be able to put Imagine in the death realm. So Rek'Sai is only level 5 still, but is going to be here to try and follow up. Up tunnels over the wall, but can't quite get in range for the knockup. And maybe it's actually for the best, because Brock was waiting in the wings with the Paranoia ready to go. Actually, still could go for it, although there's a lot of vision on this part of the map for DDF at the moment.
I do think... Oh, we have fight bot.
Yeah, fight breaking out the bot lane. Bot comes out onto Bam. Lotta returning damage on Border Jumper. Killer stick for the shield, and the heal is going to come out there as well. Kaisa, though, so low, has to back away from this one. Bam's going to flash forward. Get the neck. The hail of arrows, and the brand passive now.
No!
But flash forward for the Pillar of Flame. The support for TPW secures the first blood. The Psych ward off for the race.
Oh, I think Bam really overestimated the amount of distance Varus had on that and could not get in on that fight. Brock also still ahead here, able to just move in. Mangler also taking some bad damage here. Wait.
Trying to help out in this counter jungling attempt. Paranoia comes down. This head 20 will fall, but the hero's entrance from Imagine helps to secure that kill in trade. So 1-for-1, and I do believe the red buff steal was successful for Brock as well.
Not just that, but with the jungler down, that really should be a dragon that they could... no, bot lane did back. All right. So, not going to be able to get the dragon, but it's more counter jungling. They're just going to walk over and steal the blue buff. Niote is level 5 to Brock's level 7 right now. This is an insanely strong Nocturne right now. And Niote has just been behind from about 4 minutes into this game.
Yeah. It started with the double crab, right? And then Brock has just been able to continue getting further and further ahead of this Rek'Sai. Now the Mountain Dragon, the problem with the Mountain Dragon, it just takes a little bit too long to kill, right? If Brock's killing a Mountain Dragon, he's not killing more camps. As Short is a set 20 and is going to be totally fine here, as Niote could actually be in trouble. The bot lane rotating up for the Psych ward. Rek'Sai is going to be able to tunnel away to safety.
Yeah, Niote, I mean, granted, thank goodness for Rek'Sai's mobility, because if this was another champion that just also did not have the ability to dash away like Rek'Sai does, this is a multiple deaths for Niote here. Will be a dragon grabbed early here, and we kind of said at the start of the game too, like this is a composition that spikes really hard in the mid game, and already coming into the mid game with a decent lead, we are seeing TPW really being able to like pressure this situation, and I want to see them push hard on this.
They're already up 2K gold overall as a team. That is a very fantastic spot here for the first 10 minutes of the game. And they did, of course, secure the first dragon as well. Lost out on the first round of grubs, though. That is potentially something, as the death drum is going to get cast towards this top side. Imagine trying to survive that. Obliterate does actually connect. Yeah.
Nice.
I was going to try to flash right, but the flash follow is there for the ninja. Mordekaiser picks up his first of the game.
That's huge. They needed to get Mordekaiser something there, and being able to grab that kill is massive for Mordekaiser. Should be able to get a Rylai's fairly soon here. I wanna actually check how much gold. Yeah, we'll be able to back and get that. As you want to have this Mordekaiser strong. You want to be able to grab somebody and just win a 1v1 there.
Paranoid at the top side. They knows that Mordekaiser does not have ultimate, and his Nocturne is so strong, easily able to clean up American Ninja there, who honestly just stayed a little bit too long in that top lane.
Yeah, it is a little rough there. You don't want to be that far in after a kill, especially when there's a Nocturne on the map. I think that's just a little bit of not being ready for Nocturne existing in this game.
Yeah. Like you said, I mean, Mordekaiser had enough gold to complete the item without going for that turret plate, but American Ninja maybe just feeling the pressure, feeling like he needs more, right? He needs a bigger advantage to really try and carry the team, but it's costing him.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of just what Nocturne preys on. If you are not prepared, for a Nocturne ultimate to be coming, you do get caught off guard by it. And it's kind of like, it's tough because, yeah, Nocturne's sphere of influence when that ult is up is really big, but you got to be ready for it.
I mean, the range, honestly, is pretty short on the first rank of the ultimate. But absolutely, your point does stand. As
you can't ward for it.
Meat Mangler was glacially imprisoned for a second there, but see, that doesn't really mind too much, I guess.
Does break out of jail.
Yeah.
The ice caps are melting. They are feeling the effects of global warming live in our live in our League of Legends video game.
Okay, Death Realm about to come off cooldown for American Ninja, but is it going to be enough? He does manage to cast the ultimate, and he should be able to finish off the Galio here as well. Brock, is the Nocturne strong enough?
Has shield?
To finish off the Mordekaiser. Wait. Stats, the shield comes back for American Ninja. He comes down once again, and American Ninja takes him out in the 1v2.
So this feels like an instance where you're just not prepared for Mordekaiser ult, and just the sphere of influence that Mordekaiser ult can have. just not ready for that. And unironically, that was just like, oh, we could just go in on Mordekaiser. But just in time that Death Realm comes and take down Imagine, get Brock in the aftermath as well, because that shield is so huge. That's the exact situation you want to have Mordekaiser in. Oh,
knock on the outside. That's a full health Sejuani under her turret.
If that's any other mid laner, maybe.
So we are going to get the knock on the right side as well. With the hero's entrance, and the Yote is going to go for the ultimate to try to get away, but will be unsuccessful. I'm short on the Sejuani. Picks up his first.
Yeah, that is ill-advised, I think, when it is a tank mid laner, and that is just a full-on tank. Garen has ult and ignite here, but it is Sejuani.
Yeah, she is gonna have the glitch.
Why does Sejuani do this?
Available again soon as well. Is that gonna be a flash forced out for the mid laner to try and trade this back on?
Oh!
The Demacia addresses for the Winter's Wrap. Is gonna finish off the Garen as both quote-unquote mid laners fall simultaneously.
That was just weird on all accounts there. Meat Mangler flashing out away from the Sejuani to go back in and then just kind of trade 1-for-1. And I don't really know who wins that. I think that's kind of just like, oh, well, more money for each of us. But more importantly there, Brock used the ultimate for nothing there. Essentially did not accomplish anything with it. Gives some time for Neote. Now, Neote is, well, okay. Do have to run away.
He's gonna be able to tunnel away.
Yeah, but
is 2 levels down.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the problem. Wants to get the Scuttlecraft, cannot, and just will fall further and further behind. Now, granted, there's a lot of camps on the top side here to take, including the other grubs, so that could be a or sorry, not the Grubs, the Rift Herald here, which could be really helpful. This can open up an opportunity to get that chance. So Neote able to do something here, but definitely feels like this Rek'Sai pick has just not been able to accomplish anything. Oh no.
Yeah, it's been pretty rough. Short's gonna move over here and actually interfere with the Herald take, but American Ninja is incredibly powerful right now on this Mordekaiser, and is going to move over and allow the squad to secure that objective. Trade for the
Ulti?
Herald though, or the Dragon rather, as the
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
What?
Back to you, Thousand Eyes.
What? Why is Kaisa able to do that? That is the Q evolve, I believe. So it does
So.
It does have the Q evolved. So that's literally just what that is. Able
they're gonna be able to execute on the dive here very cleanly done. Kaisa even the one to pick up the turret aggro there, because she does have the range to get out afterwards. And that is gonna be 2 kills for Border Jumper, who's pretty quiet so far in this game, but is gonna be less quiet probably after that.
And you could feel the panic there for Fable there. Tried to ult, exhaust, even flashed after death was all but certain there. So not great for this Lulu, and does mean we are really seeing this bot lane struggle here, especially Border Jumper is online way ahead of the curve with this Varus right now, and hopefully that is the one opportunity here that we do see Psych board kind of just try to pull really, really far away, because we've seen the Mordekaiser do solidly. We've seen the Garen do well. It's kind of Brock and Border Jumper that are really strong for Psych ward.
Yeah. Usually how it goes for this squad, those are the 2 main carries that they've had for most of the season. American Ninja is going to go for the death realm once again towards this top lane. Imagine is extremely low on mana. Does get away from the death's grasp there. Some pretty nice movement. But in the end, tries to flash away. Yeah, the Rylai's diff comes through there, and the Galio can not escape. Killing spree for the American Ninja.
Yeah, this is what we did want to see from this Mordekaiser. This is what you have to see when you pick Mordekaiser. You have to be able to win your ones and be able to control that lane. And so far, American X Ninja has been doing a great job at that. But now what we need to see is Mordekaiser be able to do more with that. And this is not what you want.
He no longer has the ultimate, and that is going to be a Glacial Prison connecting. Nice pullback on a Border Jumper. Mordekaiser is really strong.
What?
Is going to get the flash out from the Kaisa. The Border Jumper still able to clean that one up. That chain of corruption just barely going to go wide for Bam. So the side of DDF not able to get anything back in the mid lane.
There's nothing more frustrating than expecting somebody to dodge, so you throw the skill shot like in a way you expect them to dodge, and they just keep walking back because you look like a fool, which is tough. Yeah. So Bam will lose the ult on that, and with the Mordekaiser going down too, that's another kill going over to Border Jumper, who just looks really strong right now.
Definitely, yeah, absolutely right. And the fact that we're just able to shut down the Mordekaiser there as well, obviously was the strongest member on Drop Dead Fury, so that is really, really big for the side of the Psych ward. And I think now would be a good time to mention Thousand Eyes, the fact that the loser of this series is not actually eliminated from the playoffs. There is a loser's bracket. So Drop Dead Fury, even if they do end up losing this game, even if they win this game and then lose the next game, they are still going to have another life here in the playoffs. Their season is not going to end after tonight.
Yeah, so very, very good, but you definitely would love to win this instead, You don't want to...
For sure, yeah.
Hey, look, if I am playing in a playoff match, I'm not like, man, sure is okay if we lose. I'm like trying to win.
Oh, yeah, I think they are trying to win. I think we have seen that. But it's just looking a little bit difficult, I think, at this point in time.
Oh, it is.
That's why I brought it up. We do have our next dragon spawning in less than a minute. We do have Neote also making his presence felt on the top side once again. Might not even be needed. As I'm sure he's going to feel the wrath of
there we go.
Nightfall. There is that little bit of assistance from the jungler coming through as Mordekaiser picks up yet another kill and is going to be able to secure this top lane tier 1 turret as well. So Shelly actually going to be reinforcing here towards the top side as well. And this is a clear call from Drop Dead Fury. They are comfortable giving up the Chemtech Soul Point to their opponents in exchange for getting some more gold in American Ninja's pockets.
Well, does not seem like they are even really that worried about it. And importantly, they're going to get this last charge here. No.
Yeah, wow. Ooh, nice from Border Jumper. They're able to deny that.
Oh, Galio.
The Hero's Edge is going to come through as well. The Mordekaiser is going to burn down, and Rek'Sai taunted up. Take him out. Number 4 for Border Jumper. And it was a good try, but I think just a little bit too far there for DDF.
That is so sad. It's just perfect timing for Border Jumper to get in, kill Shelly, and then Niyote just trying to help when you just can't. At a certain point, and this is kind of an issue, an error that I see a lot at these ranks, is just trying to assist where you can't. Sometimes you just have to say, that person is dead, I need to get out, because saving my life means there is less gold going to the enemy team. Better recognition of when fights are lost, and
yeah,
Niyote kind of has paid the price a couple of times for that in this game, and that's why we see this 2-level disadvantage still existing at this point in the game, despite the fact that Brock really only has 1 kill. Look at the CS, though.
Yeah, the Nocturne has been very efficient overall this game, and just very opportunistic as well, knowing when he can move in to counter jungle, knowing where to gank, when to gank, very important on the Nocturne. You are so reliant on your ultimate for that sort of thing. And Brock's been having a great time of it so far in this one. Obviously had a phenomenal game number 1 as well. It's great to see that performance continue here for the TPW jungler.
And kind of like you said too, it is Soul Point now for TPW, and they want to close this out. They definitely have the power. They have the ability to. I also want to remind, we have not seen like a full-on team fight as of yet. It's still been skirmish, skirmish. And it's been great for Brock and Imagine, who could just kind of show up where they want. I want to see what happens when this team just gets all together for a team fight, because I think they're strong enough to be able to win in this 5v5 situation.
Yeah, I think so too. With the power of the brand, it's a support brand. But he's going to have that second item completed pretty soon. You have to imagine. Not sitting on too much gold right now, so a little bit of time still for the brand, I guess. But they absolutely are, I think, very strong overall right at this stage in the game. A little over 4K gold up on their opponents. And yeah, this Rek'Sai, unfortunately, is just not going to have very much impact in those 5v5s.
Yeah, I mean, Rek'Sai is just non-existent at this point. That's kind of the big thing, right? Like, it doesn't feel like a 5v5 if it turns into that. It feels like a 5v4, because Niyote just does not do a whole lot. Now, I'm short. Gonna start getting engaged on. Brock is here for this, but I don't think it is enough.
Corruption connects. Glacial Prison comes out in trade. Brock goes pretty deep there. Wild Growth does come out to defend the Varus, but the Lulu, it looks like, is going to be sacrificed. Teleport coming in now. This is American Ninja arriving to the fight. It's like we're gonna have to be a little bit careful here. The Mordekaiser is just gonna put somebody in the death realm. It is going to be the Galio. Imagine gonna try to buy time. You're gonna try to survive.
I don't know if that's who you wanted.
The space being controlled by the Psych ward outside the death realm. The Galio will live. Does escape. American Ninja doesn't get the stacks.
No,
or the stats rather.
Niyote.
And Border Jumper is gonna be able to take out Tiller and stick forward. True to its name as the AD carry sees the angle. It is 4 dead on the side of Drop That Theory, and the last man up, Meat Mangler, is just going to have to limp away from this one. Since when he does fall as the Psych ward chase underneath the turret to try and secure the ace. But that is the thinnest of silver linings. The Psych ward look for the 2-0.
That is so rough there. American Ninja, I think, just feeling the pressure there of being one of the few members that has a definitive lead, that is definitively strong at this point of the game, wanted to flash forward, get the Death Realm onto one of those important members, but could only reach Imagine, and that's not enough. You take out the Galio, there's still a Sejuani to frontline there for that team. You need to take out one of those carries. If you get the Kaisa there and are able to fight her, you leave only really the brand as DPS, which maybe gives the opportunity for Garen, Varus, and Lulu to be able to walk forward there and take that fight. If you take a tank, there's still not enough for DDF to move forward and actually fight that out.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's like as soon as we saw the Death Realm be cast, it's like that's great. You know, American Ninja obviously wins that 1v1 against the Galio, but as soon as the Mordekaiser was gone, the rest of the team just had to back it up. They're like, oh, we don't have our Mordekaiser here anymore. We can't really move up without him. So it ended up just being a lose, honestly, for the Ninja.
Yeah, and again, Mordekaiser just always sits on that precipice of kind of just is a stat stick champion. Mordekaiser's ahead, you just run at people and kill them.
Oh,
Mordekaiser's behind, and you are in a rough spot.
So, Bam and Fable are very dead here. They were too far up that lane. Theirs is going to fall first. You know, we do have Neote moving in here, and as well as the Meat Mangler to try and make this one happen. Rek'Sai's going to be ulting forward onto Brock, but the Nocturne has a pretty bruisery build here. The Nocturne actually relatively tanky, able to walk away from this one short. Is getting burned down. As we get trapped in the Death Realm, tries to flash and
Jukes.
Nice sidesteps there for the Sejuani. Gets away from that first couple of skill shots. He obliterates. Not quite enough. The Sejuani survives for so long and long enough for the hero to arrive in the form of Igmet. It's going to be the 5-for-2 team fight, and Border Jumper wasn't even there.
Yeah, just immediately your bot lane is gone, and I just don't understand why Neote is going in for these fights. They're not good fights. You can't take them anymore. You've lost your DPS threat. American Ninja is there for the fight, sure, but can't even kill the Sejuani thanks to some nice jukes from I'm Short. Keeps the fight alive, gets the Galio ult in, and even though the Sejuani does eventually die, it is in exchange of multiple people going down, and Border Jumper wasn't even there for that fight, was just pushing mid lane that whole time, so they won that a man down.
Yeah, they're arguably strongest man as well. Chemtech Soul just going to be the cherry on top here. You have to imagine that Baron will be next, and then likely the Nexus. That mid inhibitor already taken out. It should be very, very straightforward for the Psych Ward to close it out from here.
It should be. Psych Ward are just definitively strong, and I know you mentioned about like how tanky, how bruisery this Nocturne is. I don't even think it's the Nocturne's bruisery. You look at the Garen. Garen has a Stride Breaker and then a tank item. You look at the Rek'Sai, has 2 items to Nocturne's 3 and is down 2 levels still. There is just not any damage if Varus is gone and Mordekaiser's not hitting them.
Yeah, Baron has just now been secured by the Psych Ward. I think the group now up towards the top lane makes a lot of sense. I like that play a lot. Nocturne is not there for some reason. Brock just feels a strong desire to take the Gromp. As a jungler, I understand, but I don't think you really need that Gromp, Nocturne. Probably join up with the team. The Wolves as well. You know, those Wolves are asking, okay, we're just going to take the inhibitor. I guess we don't need the Nocturne.
Red buff.
Red buff.
To be fair, they don't know where Nocturne is.
Right.
They may just assume that Nocturne is just in the vicinity, which, you know what? Technically, it's like the correct play. If I see 4 people, I'm assuming Nocturne is somewhere in the vicinity. I'm not expecting Nocturne to just be like, da-da-da-da-da, like, a red buff looks really nice today, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's, you know, all's well that ends well, as the saying goes. Gonna be 2 inhibitors down now. So the Psych Ward only have 1 lane left to push, and they do have Border Jumper working on that as we speak. Kaisa getting that wave up past the halfway point. We do have some resets coming through here, so we can see the Kaisa backing off now, waiting for the rest of the team to come back, join up again so they can close this one out.
Yeah. Now, this does start to get us into a little bit of the same situation as we saw last time, although I think it's less worrying. Where Elder Dragon is going to be up in 3 minutes. If this game is not over, then DDF have an opportunity to
no way we make it to Elder this one. No.
I would imagine not, but even if they do, I just don't think DDF can even like try and steal it. They're so far behind on multiple levels, and the people that are ahead have just not been able to find the opportunities that they need. I mean, you look at how Garrett is 4-2, but does it feel like it? It does not feel like this is a 4-kill Garrett, because the Garen just doesn't do damage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just it's kind of hard to play Garen at this point in the game when you can't really side lane anymore, and there's this huge front line on the enemy team. This last inhibitor is just gonna get bulldozed over by the Psych ward. Glacial Prison's gonna
Nocturne's on top.
push them back, and that is the last inhibitor. So 3 inhibitors down now as well. Nexus turret in their sights. 30 minutes on the game clock, and it looks like the Psych ward aren't going to be able to put the finishing touches on this one. Short does go down pretty low. We do have no leash. The brand right now trapped in the Cataclysm, but it's just not going to be enough in the end as Border Jumper flashes forward, cleans up the kills, a double kill goes over, make it a triple, make it a quadra for the Border Jumper. 10-0 in this game. That is going to be the ace. That is going to be the end of this match. 2-0 for the Psych ward in the first round of playoffs.
Yeah, very, very strong showing by Psych ward there. Just completely, I don't know why it says 2-1 video game. That is not what I said. But Psych ward just looking really, really strong. And honestly, just I think a lot of mistakes coming through from DDF. I liked the look of some of the things they did. I think the Mordekaiser was really solid. I think trying to play around that top lane was really good, but just how far behind the bot lane felt, how far behind the jungle. The Rek'Sai did not feel real this entire game. There was at no point where I was like, Rek'Sai is definitively like the pick that made anything happen in this game. You would have been better off with just some kind of tank jungler that hopefully would then allow Garen to build a little bit more damage in his build, because Garen also just could not really do a whole lot in this game.
Yeah, very true. You know, Rek'Sai obviously one of those champions that is incredibly reliant on having a strong early game, and you know, it all started losing out on the double scuttle. Brock just kind of snowballed from there. And I think this does kind of line up with our expectations heading into the match, right? We knew this is the first seed against an 8th seed. You know, it was always going to be a tough fight for Drop Dead Fury, and they did have a couple of good moments, right? You know, wasn't nearly enough in the end, but definitely props to American Ninja up there in the top lane. Actually did have the most damage in the game here in game 2 at 29k. You know, comfortably ahead of Border Jumper's 25k. So, you know, the top laner really tried here for Drop Dead Fury, but in the end, the rest of the map just kind of fell apart around him. And it's you know, it's the classic top experience, right?
It definitely feels like it. I mean, credit where it is due. This bot lane popped off really, really hard. We saw, you know, the Kai'Sa was banned game number 1. Now we know why. We saw that one play from Border Jumper, just 1v1, just destroying Bam. And that was before Border Jumper was really even far ahead. So obviously very, very comfortable, knows the limits of this Kai'Sa. I think most importantly, just Brock outpathed Neote. Just Neote could not find a grip in this game, and that was so difficult to come back from, because it was like, cool, you know, we said from the start, oh, Brock gets double scuttle. That's great for Brock. That means the Nocturne hits level 6 sooner. And that just was like the tipping point, seemingly, that just the dominoes fell like all the way down the tower from that point.
Yeah, absolutely right. Like we did mention earlier on, no, Drop Dead Fury do still have another chance in the lower bracket, so they are not out of playoffs just yet. They are going to still have the opportunity to try and improve, try and shore up some of the mistakes that happened in tonight's match, and come back stronger for the rest of the postseason. And the last order of business tonight, Thousand Eyes, is to award our Game 2 POG. Obviously, we did have Brock taking that honor after game number 1 for that really strong Lilia performance. And this time around, I actually do think it's a little bit more of a difficult decision. Where's your head at?
So I would agree, and I might be controversial for saying I want to give it to Brock again. I really do, because I think the Nocturne getting so far ahead early on just made Neote just not able to do anything. And yes, similar things happened in that bot lane, but that happened at a point where there was already a pretty strong lead for the team for Psych ward. I think Brock got it when there was even capabilities and on a champion that really should not have been able to get an early lead. So I want to give it to Brock again. I do think either or for Border Jumper or Brock is a fine decision. Obviously, 10-0 on the Kaisa, pretty damn good. But I loved how strong the early game was for Brock on a champion that really shouldn't have had it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Honestly, props to Shork and Imagine as well for playing some potentially difficult lanes out really nicely. The swapping was clever. We don't really know whose idea that was, but that ended up working out really nicely for them. And they, down the stretch, had some really great setup for the rest of the team as well. So some strong play there. But as a jungler myself, I am very happy to align with you on the Brock vote. So I think that works out really nicely. Definitely a fantastic performance from the Psych Ward jungler in tonight's match. And you have any final thoughts, Thousand Eyes? Any closing remarks?
I mean, congratulations for Psych Ward. I do want them to go back to that game one, look at the times where I think they had those opportunities to close out a game sooner. I want to see them close that opportunity, because that can get punished pretty heavily if you do get it against a team that does see that chance and takes it. So I want to see them kind of pick up on those minor mistakes that get punished, because I think overall game 2 looked really good. Game 1 in a lot of scenarios looked really good, but the macro is the point I want to see them really close that door on.
Absolutely. Well, looking forward to seeing those improvements from the Psych Ward as well. But that's going to do it from us tonight. I do want to apologize to everybody for my microphone issues. Sorry for being a robot. Hopefully we'll be able to sort that out in the future. But thank you everybody very much for watching. For myself and Thousand Eyes here from the entire team at Style Esports. We appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you again, and have a great night.